On Osrc News at 7. Ondo AP government carpeting as Abu and killed 9 in Katsina. 4 persons lose lives in fresh plateau attack. And from the forensic, lightning kills during soccer match in Indonesia.
Good evening, thanks for joining us on the news tonight. My name is Sahid Arabisala. The institution technology to cross carpeting has been advocated. A stalwart of the All Progressives Congress, Osrc Orange FM Chapel's personality program, The Circuit, who says a need to tackle the challenge in institutional flaws. Joy Paris has the details.
It's the February edition of the NUJ Osrc Chapel Personality Program, The Circuit, which creates avenue for women political impact. NUJ Osrc Orange Chapel, Odon said faces of on Nigeria's democracy and critically important
integrity and public service.
Chairman Osrc Media Group by finance
important try discuss on ways to move. Our newsroom is positioned and well equipped to bring us to fight.
the voted in concern, which politicians are reaping.
Constitution is not enough to actually curtail this carpet crossing that is not rooted in good reason. So the provision of the Constitution is not reliable. So it's suspension, repeat, and to be done that are really to work. You talk it with supremacy.
He said
Because to come to people and just discuss society good 15 to 20 million if we're government, which way. As long as the
pen profession took turns to raise questions in furtherance of the conversation. Nigerian democracy witnessed series of indiscriminate political defections, with politicians cross-carpeting from one political party to another, impacting the stability of the country's democratic institutions in the raising action.
Although that allow the IOS towards the limited state, but it's more vague for and enhance efficiency. The government speaker, the state has the order and rise of the joint and do the government read state of crime criminality by providing correct information to security agencies.
Said the voting Congress due services to the people of the Scotland. There won't be any vehicle breakdown. But the challenges we are experiencing all across the country. Although is not an exception. Do the by providing tools for them, more vehicles to police the state. Just have a meeting, with discussions rather with the AIG, the CP, and the Amotekun commander. One of the major challenges they are facing currently is issue of mobility, and we've just decided that support their work. So that is going to happen very soon. We have provision budget already on it. Not the security agencies alone. If you call our were given to some months back because they have to also come to work, by having ease of transport. Giving them vehicle we definitely help them to get to work on time. And all the members of the state are also some back were prepared with vehicles. Vehicles that are required for people to be able to move from one location to the other with ease. As we just for the Speaker of Assembly and the Deputy Speaker as well, they also need vehicle as the principal officers of the House. They were not presented some months back when all the 26 members were given vehicle. So it's going to go around. We're going to support the system to make life more easier for our people.
to death or injury. Currently in Nigeria, 2 out of 5 marriages are said to suffer domestic violence in their first year, and this mostly led to separation or most times death, not leaving out the negative effect it has on victims and society. Various organizations ranging from government and non-governmental had raised series of advocacies against the menace, but it continues unabated. As a nation of that violence among couples now rule over many marriages. Some religious leaders in Akure, the state capital, who reacted to the increasing rate of domestic violence described the act as ungodly.
Even in the Bible, we have instances of couples that engage in domestic conflicts and violences in the scriptures. And I think it's still part of the future of our society today.
Whatever migrates from the domestic violence inside home goes outside to the society. That's why you are seeing our society be highly polluted negatively.
There is nowhere domestic violence is allowed, and biblically we are asked to love.
Unity or infidelity, the Bible wants
us to settle the case. And husband and wife, they need to understand the importance of their living together. It is very important.
To address this practice, religious bodies must endeavor society. Joy Pius, Osrc News.
The National Labour Congress President Joe Ajaero says the federal government should look at 1 million naira as monthly minimum wage must reflect the country's economic conditions, stressing that as long as the dollar keeps rising against the naira, the demands for a higher minimum wage will be inevitable. He reiterated that the initial 200,000 naira minimum wage proposal is no longer tenable, citing the soaring price of food items and inflationary pressures on the economy. Ajaero said the organized labor has been meeting with the federal government to discuss resolutions around the strike notice issued by the MLC and TUC. President Bola Tinubu's administration has appealed to workers not to embark on a strike over the country's economic condition. Nurses under the aegis of National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives, Abuja chapter, have protested against the new verification certification guidelines released by the Nigeria and Midwife their freedom to pursue career opportunities, asking the council to address nurses' welfare, salary scale, shortage of staff and other rights. The association had last Wednesday issued a circular revising the guidelines for requesting verification of certificates for nurses and midwives to take off in March. The council also stated that applicants must have active practicing licenses with a minimum of 6 months to the expiration dates, and processing of verification applications would take a minimum of 6 months. Similar industrial action was carried out by members of the association in Yaba, Lagos. President Bola Tinubu says his administration is revolutionizing agriculture to make Nigeria self-sufficient in food production and a net exporter of agricultural products. He disclosed this when he received a delegation from the Global Tijaniya movement led by Khalifa Mohammed Mahi Nias at the presidential villa in Abuja. The president also said his administration would support plans and efforts to give ease and succor to art pilgrims. He emphasized the importance of spiritual endeavors in nation building, underscoring his administration's commitment to supporting religious activities. The president also highlighted the need for collaboration between political and spiritual leaders to advance the nation's interests and promote unity among the people. It's time to take a break. On the news at 7, we'll be back with more stories. Please stay. Thank you for rejoining us on the news. You can watch us live on our website www.osrc.ng or follow us on Facebook at Osrc TV and on YouTube. You can subscribe to our channel Osrc TV Ondo. To more news now. Gunmen suspected to be bandits have reportedly killed 9 traders along Jibia-Batsari Road in Katsina State. Residents reported that the traders were returning to their community from a local market in Jibia when they ran into the gunmen. It was learned that the traders were being conveyed in 2 vehicles, which the gunmen also burned. Residents said the gunmen shot into the 2 vehicles conveying the traders, killing one of the drivers and the traders on the spot. Spokesman for the State Police Command, Abubakar Aliyu, who confirmed the incident, behind the killings. In Plateau State, a 50-year-old farmer in Plateau State, Gawa Zwe, has been killed by gunmen. Zwe was killed in his house alongside 2 others in Nkezia village, Basel local government area of the state. A community leader in the area, Nobu Petros, said before the death of the 3 persons, the gunmen had attacked another village, killing him on the spot. Another villager killing him on the spot. The Irigwe Development Association, an umbrella body of the ethnic nationality in the local government, condemned the renewed attacks and called on security agents to fish out the perpetrators wherever they might be hiding. On the foreign scene now, Israel is facing growing international warnings over its planned offensive in Rafah, the city in southern Gaza crammed with Palestinian refugees. Saudi Arabia and the United Nations have warned of very serious repercussions if Rafah was stormed. Hamas also warned any operation would also undermine ongoing talks about the possible release of Israeli hostages held in Gaza. Aduruke Kolawole has more.
Israeli forces are gearing up for a grand assault in the southern Gaza city of Rafah and have ordered Palestinian residents there to move ever further south. The United Nations is warning Israel against a mass displacement of Palestinians from the Gaza Strip.
We would not support in any way forced displacement which goes against international law.
More than half of Gaza's 2.3 million people are sheltering in Rafah right up to the border fence with Egypt. They're subject to deadly Israeli strikes and dire humanitarian conditions. Aid agencies have warned large numbers of civilians could die and that there is nowhere safe for people to go.
They tell you there's a safe place, but on the way they bomb people, Dib Ghanem says.
Many Palestinians say they fear a new catastrophe. That was when 700,000 Palestinians were dispersed from their homes during the Arab-Israeli War in 1948. United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has warned of mass displacement for months. This is a spokesperson, Stephanie Dujarric, on February 9.
I think what is clear is that people need to be protected, but we also do not want to see any forced displacement, forced mass displacement of people, which is by definition against their will.
Arab nations, especially neighbors Egypt and Jordan, struggling to oppose any Israeli attempts to push Palestinians over the border. Egypt says it will not allow such movement onto its territory and has kept the border closed, only allowing a few thousand foreigners, dual nationals, and a handful of others to cross. It has strengthened security and border defenses in Sinai. Palestinians must not be driven from the land where they want to make a future state, including Gaza. Israel has dismissed all suggestion that mass displacement on its agenda. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office says it has ordered the military to develop a plan to evacuate the population of Rafah. It says 4 Hamas battalions are deployed there. But comments by key Israeli politicians have stoked fears. In late January, far-right Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir publicly urged Jewish settlers to return and resettle Gaza in rapturous applause. Palestinians said his words are mounted to call for their forced deportation. He prompted a reprimand from White House National Security spokesperson John Kirby.
Irresponsible, reckless. We have made clear that there can be no reduction in Gazan territory.
Israel launched its war on Gaza on October 7 after Hamas militants infiltrated the border, killed about 1,200 people and took some 250 hostages. According to Gaza's Earth Military says more than 28,000 Palestinians have been killed in the month since. Adirunke Kolawole, Osrc News.
Top Western officials have criticized former U.S. President and Republican frontrunner Donald Trump over his comments that the United States might not protect NATO allies, whom he says are not spending enough on their defense against a potential Russian invasion. Akintunde Akinshola has more.
Top Western officials criticized former President Donald Trump after he suggested the U.S. might not protect NATO allies from a potential Russian invasion if those countries had not spent enough on defense. Trump's comment came during a weekend rally in South Carolina in which he appeared to recount a meeting with NATO leaders. The former president and likely 2024 Republican nominee claimed that the president of a big country whom he did not name once asked him about potential U.S. protection from Russia if that nation fell short on its defense spending. Trump said he told the NATO leader that the U.S. in that case would offer no protection and went as far as to say he would even Russia to, quote, do whatever the hell they want. On a target of defense spending that is at least 2% of each country's gross domestic product, estimates have shown 11 nations spending that much. In a written statement, NATO Secretary General Stoltenberg responded to Trump's comments by saying, quote, any suggestion that allies will not defend each other undermines all our security, including that of the U.S., and puts America and the European soldiers at increased risk. Poland's defense minister also weighed in, posting on social media, quote, NATO's motto, one for all for one, is a concrete commitment, adding that interview in France said Trump may have, quote, issues with his memory. Breton, recalling EU Internal Marketing Commissioner Thierry Breton in a televised interview in France said Trump may have, quote, issues with his memory. Breton recalling that Trump actually had his conversation with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and not a male president of a NATO country as Trump had relayed. Meanwhile, the White House had its own response with spokesman Andrew Bates calling Trump's comment, quote, appalling and unhinged. Akintunde Akinshola for Osrc News.
sport news now. A footballer struck by lightning to bank at Siliwangi Stadium in West Java. The jersey of the 34-year-old was stunned by the lightning strike as he collapsed on the pitch. After being struck, other players rushed to carry the victim off the field after he fell to the ground. To end the news tonight, we will look at the major stories. An All Progressives Congress stalwart in Ondo State, Olumuyiwa Adu, has advocated constitution amendment to check cross-carpeting in Nigeria. Dr. Adu made the assertion at the program, The Circuit, organized by the Osrc Orange Fan chapter of the NUJ. And we also informed you that nurses under the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives today in Abuja and Lagos protested the new verification certification guidelines released by the council. Also informed you that suspected bandits killed a match in Indonesia. And that's the news tonight. Thanks for watching. Good evening.